we can, it's 9 o'clock. We can start our Board of Commissioners meeting for February 25th, 2020. We're going to stand up and do the allegiance to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got our agenda review. Bob?
Mr. Chair, there's just one minor change. Item number 6, Tim Edwards is not here today, so I'll be filling in for him.
All right.
The agenda.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Passes. All right, and we're going to go right into property and environmental resources. George?
Gentlemen.
Garrett?
PC 01-20 is a request from Orlando and Donna Olson for review and approval of a conditional use permit to allow a bonus lot dwelling. The property is zoned agricultural and is located in the southeast quarter of Section 9 McPherson Township. Mr. Rolfing presented the staff report. The applicants were present and thanked the commission for the review. They stated they have been in contact with their septic contractor. There was no public comment and little discussion by the planning commission. Following the discussion, the planning commission voted unanimously to forward to the county board a recommendation of approval based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff, and the board action is the resolution.
All right. This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak to PC 0120? If they do, stand up at the podium, give your name and address.
We don't wish to speak at this time. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else wish to speak to PC 0120? And a third time. Anybody wish to speak to PC 0120? All right. Public hearing is over with. How do you wish to proceed?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion? Got a second from, I'll give it to Mark.
Okay. Well,
You get,
that's fair.
you get a bonus for that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? That passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's it.
Just like that.
Yeah.
All right. And it looks like on PC 02-20, it was tabled by the Planning Commission and there's no action that's need to be required at this time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there anything at all we need to do on this at this time?
And maybe Mr. Leary would like to give the board a little summary of the discussion.
All right.
Yeah, it's in the packet there, but there was 3 public citizens that commented on it and had it was a lengthy discussion about it. They provided their experience with solar sites and their projects that are located near their homes. Their concerns addressed electrical interference with radio and television signals, setbacks between solar sites, setbacks to residential dwellings, line of sight impairment from their properties, lighting and screening. And again, Mr. Meyer indicated that after a lengthy discussion, the Planning Commission decided to table their recommendation until the March meeting.
All right. Sounds like a good idea. I know Commissioner Brunder was the one that asked for it to be tabled. And I guess we'll probably wait until 2 weeks from now, or our next board meeting.
Yeah, we'll hear it again in March. It'll be end of March. So.
Okay. Oh, you got to go.
Yeah, it'll come through to us again, and then we'll send it.
Yep. So,
with the recommendation. At this point, I don't think there's a lot of drastic changes. The board just thought it'd make sense to. We've been working on it this hard, this long. This one more.
one more month is not going to make a difference.
We haven't directed staff to do anything different at this point. We're just going to let it.
If we have an ability to ease some people's minds and And as to all the work that we've done on this is a good thing. Okay. Human Services. Are we done?
Nope.
Feedlot. I'm sorry. I jumped on the
That's all right.
feedlot. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The presented annual county feedlot officer report is a summary of many feedlot-related tasks that were completed by myself during the 2019 calendar year. This report is very similar to previous annual feedlot reports. Worth County does earn performance credits for a number of categories, including but not limited to site inspections and attendance at approved training sessions. Performance credits are paid out to counties for work that has been done above and beyond the minimum program requirements of the delegation agreement. In short, this is an annual summary of some of the goals that are presented in the county delegation agreement with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Pending approval, this document will need the signature of the chair of the county board, and this form will be forwarded to the MPCA and be added to the records for the county. Thank you.
All right. So we need a motion.
So moved. Second it.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? That passes.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Good job, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we're done.
Now we're done. Now I can go right into Human Services. Mr. Clausen.
Morning, Phil. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Phil. How are you?
How are you? Peachy keen.
Yeah,
Keen.
that's good news, Peachy Keen. It's good status. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have one simple action item for today and a couple of informational items we can discuss. The action item really is about our front desk change fund to make change when people want to pay in cash. We've historically had two small funds of $20 and $30. But we're seeing larger bills come in, and so staff are running to the bank, try to make change, get enough change. And so what we'd like to do is consolidate that in one fund totaling $120. There is some statute on this, and that's why I'm bringing it to your attention, just so that we have a record of what we're doing with the change fund. But it's really not even a fiduciary issue because we're just making change. So, and that's all I have for action items
I'll
today.
move approval of the action item.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Kip, a second from Mark.
It's a big.
Now I'm going to call for discussion, maybe.
If anybody wishes to discuss this, just kind of surprised that you get by with that little.
Yeah, I think, you know what,
It's a comment.
it's probably from years ago that we set that amount.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't do much good when you have not much to deal with. And people do still pay in cash at times. So it turns out to be a headache at times.
And
That's right.
I can imagine if people pay in cash, even $120 can be a small amount.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
but $20, how would you get by?
Right. And we were saying that somebody brought in a $100 bill, so Noel's running to the bank to try to figure this all out.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to, be customer service friendly and not say no, but that gets to be a little hard. So
Well, thank you and your staff for doing what they do.
absolutely. Thank you.
All right. All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Against the same? Passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of different service areas that I'm bringing to your attention. First of those being the billing unit. So we've separated this out from the accounting function back in 2015, and in your packet you'll just see the first paragraph lists out the 15 different programs that the billing unit covers, and then also talks about targeted case management, which is one of the two biggest areas that we generate revenue. So that, along with our mental health center. So those are the two areas I'm breaking down for you this morning. The next paragraph just talks about the three specific types of targeted case management. So this is really social services or social work, if you think of it in broad terms. And child welfare, vulnerable adults, mental health are the areas, and they're all accessed as a payment source for 7 different units, and those are also listed in that paragraph for you. The chart is probably the most important piece of what I wanted to show you, is just that our Receivables are really doing well year over year this last year, so this is the end of 19. You'll see the graph, and then 2 bullets right underneath the graph, averaging 700 TCM claims each month, and you'll see the total amount being very significant at 2,600,000, almost 700,000, and that against our budget shows over amount of $359,000, almost $360,000. So very proud of the work that staff are doing again, as you say, and I think this has been a success. As you can imagine, the whole realm of complexity in this area and then this next one that we're about to get into has really become more complicated. And so you see in that next paragraph, 35 different insurance companies that we bill, all with unique filing and codes. So that's the part that whenever we talk about administrative simplification, we'd love to be able to leverage some of those differences or the disparities between each of those different insurance companies, different set of rules. Staff, though, did indicate 99% of our claims that are sent are paid on the first time. That's a really good number. Denial rate less than 1%. And you'll see that the mental health center claims, the chart below, $863,000 this last year. Average of 327 claims in the mental health center, so about 61 claims per FTE per week, so it's a lot. And then claims filed in 19 were almost 17,000, which was a slight decrease because our FTEs were we had a contracted staff that's no longer with us. And then you'll compare that to 2015 where it was around 12,000 claims. So we, again, increased our volume over time as well. I don't know if the board has any comments or questions on that. It really is a snapshot of some of the volume is really what I wanted to show you. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, as you are all aware.
So you increased the claims were higher. Did you have one staffer?
Yeah, we had both one less staff on contract, but then also some of the folks that you guys know well, like Dr. Ainsworth, depending on how much vacation he wants to take per year, if he takes a month off, which sometimes he does, it can affect that, and when that hits in what years. So he has taken chunks of time off, and so that can affect the overall volume.
Okay.
The next section, Commissioners, a couple of snapshots again about our South Central Community-Based Initiative. A couple months back, I brought some of the crisis services for our regional project in mental health, focusing mostly on adults, but I'm very happy to say that the Crisis Center is also going out on crisis calls for adolescents or young people, and I think that's a really hard area of business, but to be able to offer that to the schools. I know Commissioner and I were at one of our charter school in town, and they have crisis where they do need immediate response, either urgent care or emergent care, and that service really helps with that. So I did present that to the board a couple months ago. This slide, the first one, is really something I'm not going to walk all the way through, but it gives you a sense of what the priority ranking for the initiative for the regional partners, so that across the 10 counties, what they turned out to be. And you'll kind of see from the most popular to the highest priority on the left side of the graph all the way down. Everything's valuable, but then you'll see an inlay or overlay of the budget as well. We'll remember back that first line, the $3 million budgeted, when we downsized from the state hospital, pushed that resource into the community, and so everybody could claim staff per bed, so they broke it down by a bed cost, and then you had a chunk of money. You could decide what you wanted to do with it. So some of the counties chose case managers, some chose nurses, some chose recreational therapists, and so that's why that number is so large. It really represents what used to be as institutional care. So I like that number being really, really big. And then you'll see the other two really significant ones are psychiatry and next followed by mobile, which I mentioned. So I just wanted the board to be able to see that, and then all the other areas we consider, they're all priorities, but just how it went from our folks. The last slide is just that some of the staff from that regional partnership went to the state this year, and I just wanted the board to be aware that we do try to do these outreach activities. As you know, they're fun, but they also take a lot of work. They had to get up at like 4 4 in the morning, I think, to get there. And so they're very committed to a great cause. Again, it's very self-explanatory. You'll see they surveyed 176 people, which I think is a pretty good number. There's areas that we did well. Most people knew about mental illness and that we have local advisory councils in our counties. The second area where we did okay was more the identification of depressive symptoms and knowing that it's a leader as far as disability in our communities. And then the last piece is really just about increasing awareness. So they have it Make It Okay campaign. They were asking, do people know that? And then about stigma as well. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that effort, not to have it pass without you guys being sure that you know the good work of staff again. So that's really all I have for
That's,
today.
it's great that they took their time to go up, because
Yeah.
I know that's a volunteer basis type
Right.
thing. And, I've staffed one of those things up at the state fair, and it's kind of exciting sometimes, but man, it sure takes a lot out of you.
It really-
At the end of
they
the
all
day,
were feeling
You
it.
just got to go home.
You're right. They were exhausted. Yeah, in a good way, but yes, definitely.
All right. Any questions?
Good report.
Thank you all. It's good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you very much. Okay. So it looks like we're going to get right into CD 86. Good morning, Greg.
Morning, Craig. Ryan? Morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. Okay. The first thing we have on the agenda here, I guess, is County Ditch 86. We received a petition for removal of benefits after discussing with Kurt Dieter, his recommendations, considering the rest of the problems we have on this ditch of benefits, that he recommended doing a redetermination of benefits for the entire ditch system. So that's what I'm asking the board to do today. Copy of the petition for removal and keep Kurt Dieter's recommendation to do a redetermination as part of the board packet.
I would make a move that we move forward with the redetermination of benefits on CD 86.
Second. A motion and a second. Any questions?
Just to be clear, the petition for removal is not moving forward right now. We'll do that with the.
Yeah, this would kind of replace, the petition is still there.
But it'll get removed if it doesn't have any benefits.
That's right. But it'll be treated like, because we have other properties that also have their land in CREP that we should probably address at the same
Perfect.
time.
Okay.
And several other issues on County Ditch 86 should also be addressed.
Yeah, I know 86 has got some issues, so.
Mr. Chair, just to be clear, there also would be the appointment of viewers.
Right.
And so I just want to make sure that that's part of your motion.
Yep.
Commissioner? Okay.
Yep.
Is that part of your motion?
Yes. Yeah, we want the viewers.
Question, does Mr. Phillips understand this? Has
Yes,
he been-
I talked to him on the phone.
So
Explained
he
it to him.
understands what the issues are and what we're doing to try to help the situation.
Yeah, I told him, originally when I told him we were planning on doing a redetermination of this in about 2 years. We have other ditches that also have, whole list of ditches have problems. So what his petition did is of course, we moved it up about 2 years from where we were going to do the redetermination to moved it up an extra 2 years. So he seemed to be happy with that when I was on the phone.
Good. Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
Do we have a second?
I thought we had a
Yep.
second.
Yes, I have a motion and a second.
I second. Will second. Yep. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Passes. All right. So we'll go on to
Drainage inspection.
drainage inspection.
So I have 3 drainage inspection reports on Pleasant Mound. This is maintenance and routine cleaning. JD 82, JD 85, and JD 116 are the 3 ditches that we're looking for approval for cleaning and maintenance items.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any discussion?
3 of them?
3 of them, yep.
Are these all between different counties too?
These We are shared, yep.
Okay.
Yep, and actually 2 of the 3 have already been cleaned in the recent years by the other adjoining counties, so they come up to the line and they stopped.
Sure. I appreciate that. All right. There's no other discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? And that passes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Took a
Thanks,
lot of
guys.
time
Have a good
there.
day.
Okay. So we'll go right to the Historic Courthouse Stone Restoration Bid Award. Bob?
Chair and Commissioners, item number 6 in your packet is a memo outlining the repairs that are needed to the historic courthouse tower. We did receive 6 bids, the low bid being $184,400 from Mid-Continental Restoration. We had an engineer's estimate in the neighborhood of $750,000, so this bid was substantially lower. We did ask ISG to kind of review the bid, make sure all things were covered, and that this contractor was able to complete the work, and ISG is continuing to recommend that we accept that low bid.
Okay. Where's Mid-Continental out of?
They're actually out of Kansas.
Kansas?
Interesting.
No, they have limestone down there, it's just gray. Kansas State, I think, is gray. For your 2 cents worth of information.
I'm learning so much stuff today. I did not know that.
At Fort Riley, that's the reason the campus is there near Manhattan, so.
Okay.
I'll move approval for the Mid-Continental Restoration for $184,400.
Okay, I'll second it.
All right.
So that includes, but does include the tower and, I don't know, any place where they need restoration?
It's largely focused on the tower. That's our first priority. We really need to attend some issues there. There is other work probably on the building that would be kind of a second phase, but we really wanted to get started this summer because it is going to be an extensive effort just to get up to the location where the repairs are needed.
Is this going to, do they have any connection then for the next phase, or do we have to go through another bidding process for that?
We would likely go through another bidding process.
Mr. Chair? Yes. So did they actually send somebody down to look at this, or is this just off pictures?
We did have a walkthrough, so I don't know if this particular contractor was here. We also had ISG fly it with their drone.
Okay.
So there are some, a lot of pictures to show areas that need repairs, but we did have contractors here, but I just don't know if this particular contractor was one of them that was on site.
It is a low bid, but at least there's some other ones that are relatively close. Right. It's not like they're all. There's a big spread, but there's some other ones that are at that couple $100,000. So
the lower 200s and stuff. So that's okay.
It's just always a concern when the bids are that reasonable. So, but
well, especially
noted.
since the high bids like over twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
So and then our estimate was like $750,000.
That was
so
that's much more.
That's amazing. All right.
So we'll wait and see.
If there's any other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? So passed. Okay. County Attorney's report.
Morning, Pat.
Morning, Pat. Officially good morning.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you. Again, the report is self-explanatory. If there's any information, any specific questions, or any general questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them to you. I just point out that, again, we're up in some areas, down a little bit in others, but up substantially in some of the child protection, juvenile filings, and Court of Appeals filings as well.
Okay.
Questions, concerns, comments? I'm happy to answer.
A lot of
any.
stuff going on.
You don't have any business or any problem staying busy, do you? No. No, especially in light of the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you got yourself a homicide and they've got your,
Yeah.
so,
Well,
and we don't have a lot of those, so I'm sure by next year's, all of a sudden we'll have a spike, you know, just because one causes a spike in our,
we actually, we have had, there's an unsolved homicide, and then the 4 homicides before that have all been murder-suicides.
yeah.
So we've had our share, but nothing that has directly impacted our office.
I appreciate the flow of information. I like the fact that you had your report in the packet so we can review it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this all helps. I tell you, it's one thing that you keep us informed of what's going on with the county attorney's office and the lows and the highs, and I think that makes a big difference for us to understand your department. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
And that moves us right to administrative services, Bob.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 8 in your packet are the county board minutes for February 4th.
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Passes.
Next would be the bills for the 3 weeks indicated.
3 weeks.
The bills.
Yeah. Second.
Got a motion and a second on the bills. Any discussion?
I didn't have any questions.
Nope, I don't see anything that's.
I had my discussion with Bob yesterday, so I got all my answered. I think, the biggest one was the Bornicke construction. What was that for, Bob?
That was the landfill.
Landfill, so
construction out there.
Otherwise, everything looks pretty good. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? That passes. Human Resources.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 10 is the Human Resources Department agenda. We do have one action item for the board's consideration today, and that is the authorization of a business analyst position. This is part of a reorganization plan that we're working through. We've determined that there is some additional need at that business analyst level to help primarily the Human Services Department with some of their information technology needs. This is a position, if authorized, would not be backfilled, so we would not be adding full-time equivalents to our overall staffing complement, but this would allow us some flexibility to do the reorganization that we're pursuing.
Okay. We're looking for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and got a second from Mark. Does this actually help the budget?
It potentially could. It certainly depends on who is selected and where they're currently at in our pay structure, but it does have that potential.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? The same? That passes.
Thank you. Under informational items then, we have filled a legal assistant position in the county attorney's office. We have also received a resignation of our MTRAC coordinator in our public health unit and human services, as well as a resignation of a part-time custody officer, which we have now initiated recruitment to refill. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have on the informational items.
Maybe you want to explain to the public what MTRAC.
So MTRAC is our immunization registry program. It's a multi-county effort to track immunizations, just to make sure that folks in the community are aware of the immunizations that can help them healthy and safe. And so we work with the Department of Health to make those connections and support our community that way.
Okay, very good. All right.
Item number 11 then is an on-sale liquor license request by Terrace View Golf Course LLC. They have purchased Minneopa Golf Club, and so that golf course will be opening up under that new ownership, and does then require a new liquor license. The county attorney and sheriff have both reviewed the license application, and staff are recommending approval.
I move approval.
Second. We got a motion from Will, second from Mark. Any discussion? Nope. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against the same? Passes.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 12 in your packet then is canvassing board appointments. The Minnesota state statute does require that 2 commissioners are appointed to the canvassing board. We need to choose commissioners that are not up for election this year, and so Commissioner Langhammer and Commissioner Stuenberg are the recommended choices for this election period.
I'll move approval.
Yep, second.
The motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against the same? I should have asked this beforehand, but I can ask it now. With the possibility of redistricting, and that in 2 years, all 5 commissioners may be up for re-election, what happens, if you could explain what happens to the appointments? Because obviously if all 5 commissioners are up for re-election, you can't have somebody on the...
Right. As I understand the statute, there is a provision that we can appoint staff in cases like that. So I think there is provisions recognizing that there are instances when all commissioners are up for re-election.
Okay. I think I wanted to be brought out. Okay. Then we run to donations.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item number 13 in the packet is our quarterly donations for the 4th quarter of 2019. Again, the library is the largest recipient of donations from community members and organizations. We also did receive, though, some funds for the dive and rescue operations in the Sheriff's Department, as well as some funding for a veterans van. So we appreciate all those cash donations that support county services, whether it be the library or those other departments. In-kind wise, so we get in-kind donations for the library primarily, and those are listed on the next couple of pages, as well as some volunteer time that again is provided to the library. And so we bring this forward to have the board accept this report.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the donations? Good. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against the same? And that passes.
Item number 14 then in your packet, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, is the financial status report for January 31st. This is the first month of our new fiscal year, so a lot of variability comes in that time period. You'll see that our total revenues were about $5.4 million against expenditures that were closer to $7 million. This is going to be the case for the first 5 or 6 months, where we're still waiting for those first half property taxes, where our expenditures will exceed our revenue most likely. The only thing that maybe stands out a little bit is the public aid assistance. You'll see compared to January of 2019, we're up about $400,000 in that line. I haven't had a chance to check, but I'm going to guess that it's a timing issue in terms of some payments, but I'll look into that a little further. But otherwise, there's a lot of variability, like I say, at this point in our year, and that'll start to wash out after we get through the first couple of months. But I'd be happy to answer any questions on that page, or we could move on to the fund balances. If there are no questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. The second page then does show our available funds at $43 million compared to a 6-month operating needs of $54.5 million. You'll notice that the capital purchases line has been reduced to zero. But down below under the dedicated funds, you'll still see the capital improvement plan at just under $35 million. Because of bringing into our capital plan the potential for a new public workshop, for the first time in a long time, we actually don't have enough money in that capital purchases line to support the CIP with that building project potentially out in future years showing up. And so that's what's caused some of the shift in those funds from those various categories. No direct change in our cash, but just basically some accounting with that building starting to show up in our capital improvement plan.
It's certainly going to make a difference on our budget.
Yeah, got a lot of work yet to do in terms of what we do with that particular project, but it is starting to show up in our capital improvement plan.
What did we put in for the capital improvements? Did we put some in for studying it, or we got some money put aside?
No, we put kind of a broad estimate of what it would cost to either redo the existing site or build new. Okay. It's a large number.
Okay.
But it's out at least 5 years.
Right.
Excuse me. The only other thing maybe to point out again is the law library, and I know Commissioner Purvis, you talked about that previously, but it is the one line in those dedicated funds that is in a deficit situation, and I know it's being worked on, but otherwise our total county fund sits at just under $109 million.
Yeah, I think we have a plan in place. I noticed over the last few days we've been ordering online materials and stuff that we need, and I think should bring us back into the black this year.
Great, be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other questions for Bob?
Good report. Yep, thank you. Good report. That's right.
It looks like that ends our main portion. Now we're going to go to commissioners' reports. Oh, let's see here. Mark, you want to start us out?
I usually get to it lately. This will get me out of the way.
It's because I love your tie,
Yeah,
Mark.
that's right. Woke you up.
Ooh, I do like that.
February 4th, we had our work session, and then, let's see, and that was productive. We had our February 5th department heads to follow. And then some of us were at the Stoltzman Trail open house, which had more people there than for the county one we had earlier. We had,
That's
I was
exciting.
there. There were 20 people there, yeah.
That's good.
Wow.
Former Commissioner Drew and his spouse was there, and they were there, so, yeah. And a council person there from West Mankato, so yeah. And then February 6th, Kip and I, we had RCF, and that's where Kip became he's our president or chair, what do we call it, Chairman. Maybe we still call it chair. Then February 13th, we had mayors and clerks in Amboy. That's good. Friday, the 14th, I did have our All Seasons Arena board meeting and discussions what to do with having a third rink piece of ice. Let's just say it's all continuing. And then I did go on, was that Friday after that? I don't know. I went into Rural Energy Forum on Co-op Services. Wasn't exactly what I thought it would be, but anyway. They were trying to get more consumers, people who were members of co-ops to be active on climate change and stuff. So, yeah. Then the 19th, Wednesday, That early evening did have Minnesota Valley, the Council of Governments, downtown at the Busters, and or not Busters, but Blue Spruce, and that's with Lori was there from our Human Resources, and that we went through a bunch of things with obviously kind of best practices of the various municipalities, and then went to the Children First, where Commissioner Struenberg was there. I was a little bit later because of the earlier meeting, and that was with the Federal Reserve, the district, was this Kashmir?
Neil?
Not the head one, but our Federal Reserve for our area. I can't remember what is it. I don't remember Anyway, and Alan Page. We just all remember Alan Page. And that was interesting. I was just trying to figure out what an actual constitutional amendment will actually do, but because usually they seem to be ignored, so I don't know. We'll see. Well, anyway, that's just. It was good, and it was a good discussion. They were very forward, and the staff. It was very. It was worthwhile going there. Then Friday the 21st did have judging. That's the biggest thing I did in a while. Got to judge the bookmarks at all the schools from K through 12, most of the schools, on the artwork of bookmarks. And of course, Kelly McBride was one of the other judges, and then they have the resident artist. I think it was Adam. They have a guy, the resident artist at the library that did the wall.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
the guy's amazing.
Yeah,
and he's so quiet.
Yeah, and he's a different sort of a guy, but So
great guy.
I don't know why I was there.
That's great, though. I always enjoyed that. But
no, it was a good. It was interesting. Yeah, so there were a lot of really good bookmarks. Saturday, of course, was Pedal Past Poverty, and by all accounts, it was a success. It was about 75,000, a little bit more. I appreciate everybody's contributions to the cause. That we got a little bit of coverage on that, and it's just going.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Well, okay. Mark mentioned the work session that we had on the 4th. Department heads on the 5th. On the 6th, Kip and I were at the SWC meeting. 12th, we had a little discussion about some planning and zoning issues. 13th, Mark mentioned the mayors and clerks down at Amboy. Had a good meeting down there. Paul Barta was there from the Sheriff's Department. On the 14th, I had a meeting with the MnDOT folks at Lake Crystal. We talked about their planning process for the Highway 60 that goes through Lake Crystal there, and they talked about some of the county issues that go along with that. And then last Friday, I had a phone conference for the PACE committee from the Rural Minnesota Energy Board. That's my report.
Okay. Kip.
As was already mentioned, we had our work session after our board meeting last time. We talked with the arts and cultural update from Noel, and then we had the hotel abatement requests, and then we talked a little bit about the access at the courthouse, which was all very good discussion. And then I was at the department head, got an update from all the department heads that were there. It was a good meeting. I went to the CIP open house. I didn't make it to the Stolzman Trail 1, but the open house for the CIP was not very well attended, but I got there about the middle of it, and there was nobody there. But Ryan had a good conversation about the projects that are coming up in my area, so it was good to have. Had a couple MRCI meetings. We had our regular board meeting and talked about some different planning things we have going on there with our building. And then I am going to help sit on the committee to talk about moving the whole operation up to the East Park addition. We have the whole warehouse up there, which is 8,000 square feet. And so we met with an architect and talked about putting a second floor in there and trying to move all the staff up there. downsize some of our buildings and costs and trying to keep these old buildings going. Mark mentioned RCEF. We're trying to get back into the swing of things. We got the grant going. We've got some challenges we got to deal with, but we're working through them. We got a 6-member board now, and we'll be meeting again the first of every month for the next 3 or 4 months on a monthly basis till we get things up and running again. Mark and I were both on a conference call with Micah and had a good conversation with the Micah and the group up there. They're getting all wound up for the session and have a lot of things going on. A couple of them had to step out a little early because they already had stuff that they had to go to, which happens. Mayors and clerks meeting in Amboy was a nice venue. I had not been in that Snowbirds Club before. A very nice place, a nice asset for the community, and Bart did a nice job talking about the flooding and how appropriate spring coming up and all the issues we have going on. And he apparently just came back from a conference that morning at the governor's conference, and they talked about flooding. So it was all very fresh information and good for us to have. And yesterday we had our E&P meeting for MVC, and nothing really alarming going on there, just business as usual. But we do have some space up there, warehouse space, as we do at MRCI for rent, and we have the old food hub up there that we've got for rent. And we did get someone to rent the food hub. So,
Really?
Yeah. They don't have it all finalized yet, but it's a pretty exciting little venture for some ex-football players and the main from the Vikings and stuff. And it's going to be a gym of some sort to help football players train. So it sounds pretty interesting, and it sounds like it'd be a good fit for up there. So and that brings me to today, Mr. Chair.
All right. Well, I've got a lot what everybody else talked about. On the 4th, we had a work session, and I also went to the CIP at the Public Works. I was there early when it opened up. So I must have missed you.
I don't remember. I think I got there about 5:30 or 6.
I got there right there.
4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, and then of course the next morning, with Mark, I was at that Children's First meeting for the YWCA. Let's see, had the South Central Steering Committee for Towards Zero Death was that day on the 5th. On the 6th, I met with Honeyberg and Phil Clausen over at the high school right over here on Main Street from Loyola. And they had some issues that they wanted to talk about working with the county, and it worked out really well and got a good connection. And then we had a library board meeting. On Monday the 10th, I drove up to the Old Tree in Bloomington for a magic meeting for our finances, and we're doing very well. Keep on looking, though, at how the stock and stuff are happening now with the coronavirus, and it's kind of scary, how something like that in another country can affect the world. But then you have the largest population in the world in China, so that. On the 13th, I had a 169 Coalition Legislative event up at the Capitol, where we had numerous legislators, senators come in and see the importance of Highway 169 and what's happening. I also had a NATO call in that day for transportation. I had another library board meeting and mayors and clerks, and we've already talked about that. That was fun to go down there. That's a nice place. Tuesday the 18th, I had a NACO Transportation Committee meeting call in. On Wednesday, I had a Rural Action Caucus conference call. I'm sorry. It was on. I know Mark was saying, "Wait a minute, that didn't happen." On the 19th, we had our meeting with Alan Page and Neil.
Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah.
Koskari. So, and that was good. On the 20th, I had a TDS Finance Committee and board meeting. And then on the 21st, I had an AMC board meeting up in St. Paul. Yesterday, I did a press talk on rural transit needs up at the state capitol for the Transportation Alliance. And then yesterday afternoon, Bob and I had our agenda review. And then this morning, I had Airport Commission at 7 o'clock.
Today?
So, and after me and Bob and Ryan are going to do a talk this afternoon on Stadium and Pole Road, and then I get to drive up to the city because I got a meeting already this evening that I'll be going to for the AMC Ledge Conference, which goes for the next 2 days after today. So, but that's it.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the agenda?
No.
All right.
Move to recess.
Move to recess.
Second.
Second.